Good afternoon, Pastor Dave.
Good afternoon. Time for another CBC vlog.
That's great. Oh, it's got a name now.
Yeah, we're going to have a contest to see who wants to name the vlog that we've got out.
So we've got Isaiah, and we've started already. We've just done an introduction this last week. It was really quite encouraging hearing about the scroll of Isaiah that was found. And that was really a good encouragement for me to see that it was all in one long scroll. One of the things you mentioned was that this is going to be a guided tour through Isaiah. And you are going to be almost like when you go scuba diving, we're just hitting the reefs and we're not going to get caught up in all the deep sea. What do you mean by that?
Well, Isaiah's, like I said, it's like the ocean. You've got reefs where there's a lot of fish, a lot of life, a lot of good stuff. And then when you go out into the deep water, there's just nothing but water and a couple of kilometers straight down. So that's not a really fun place to dive. And so that's kind of like Isaiah. You got these pockets where stuff is going on and Isaiah's prophesying against some various things. And then he goes into what we would call the sea of woe, and you don't want to get buried into the sea of woe and the woes to Moab and the woes to Ethiopia and the woes to Ammon. It's like you can have just a protracted battle scene over and over and over. And so we can touch those, but the real message to be gleaned is what's going on through the thread of Isaiah. And it kind of comes to this. Isaiah's name, the word Isaiah, means Yahweh saves. So it means God saves. And he's going to save his people. And so when God's talking about judging the earth, and he's talking about judging these nations, and even talking about judging Judah and Israel, that's true, and that's all that backdrop. But the promise of judgment is there, but really Isaiah is about redemption. And it's about God providing redemption through Jesus Christ. It really is the fifth gospel. He keeps talking about this Savior who's going to come. And that's where we want to spend our time.
Awesome. So what would you say, or what would we hope to see as a result of this series of Isaiah?
Well, I hope what we see is a great appreciation for the faithfulness of God. Here he is 700 years before Christ, and he's telling his people, you are going to go under judgment because of the choices you're making. And you're making very specific choices going against me over and over and over again. And I have to be faithful to my word, faithful to the law of Moses, and I've got to be faithful to that and who I am. But in being totally faithful to my people, my word, I will bring a Messiah who will bring a restoration, not only to Judah and Jerusalem, but to the whole world. And so it's about restoration, but yes, under a backdrop of judgment. And that's what we want to see from Isaiah, especially as he unfolds Christ. As early as chapter 2, right there he is. And it's so clear, he's even mentioned by pronoun, and that he is actually a person who's going to be coming. And he gives us these pictures over and over that we get many of our songs in the church today from these passages in Isaiah. So I think that's where we need to go. Or we could go for the next 7 to 9 years, covering every verse in the sea of woe, if you'd like to do that. You got to see how many times God can judge people in so many different ways.
Well, there's a creativity element there.
Yeah, right.
So we see two different pictures, really, of Christ throughout the book, of the suffering servant, and then also as the king. Would you say that those are contradictory, or do you?
No. This is the magnificence of God, and he's a suffering servant. He is a king. And ultimately, what we see in passages that talk about, he is God as well. And he hits all of this. And that's what really is the mystery of the gospel, is that our Savior is our sufferer and suffers for us on our behalf. And he is mighty and is going to be worshipped. Actually, that passage in Philippians, for every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess Jesus. Guess where that's found? Isaiah.
Oh, wow.
Coming out of Isaiah. So you can't go anywhere without saying, no, Isaiah had it first. He's got the patent on everything. That's why we want to go there.
Well, it's exciting, Pastor Dave. I'm glad that we're going to be taking a look at that this week, starting chapter 1.
Starting chapter 1. I think of it like, you know, in that movie Jurassic Park, you know, and they come walking in, the gates are like opening up, you know, it's like, welcome Jurassic Park, you know, welcome to Isaiah. Doo, 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 doo. That's where we're headed. Also going to be just like that.
Great stuff.
See you there on Sunday.
See you there.